All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to get all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect out here preaching this gospel in sincerity and truth throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom. This your bro, Amatazak, coming back with another video, another lesson, and hopefully I won't drag this out too long. I'm not trying to make it too long, but as a prophet, we're supposed to report on these things that's happening in this world and these things that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the devil, is doing, and these traps and these snares that he's setting for these unsuspecting people that's out here, which is majority of the people on the earth. Majority of people on earth have no idea how evil, wicked, and sinister this man Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is, and these plans that he has for humanity, that he has for the world, and the things that he's doing to get his world established, this new world order system, and these things that he's doing is pure evil, and he's basically he's putting it in your face, these things that he's actually doing to you. So I got this article right here that I'm gonna read through, and then I actually have a video clip of this new season of Black Mirror that basically shows this episode called Plaything, where basically AI sends out a signal that basically affects everyone on the earth, and they're putting it right in your faces, but one of his plans is to eliminate, millions upon millions of people off the face of the earth, and one of the ways, the sinister ways that he's going to do this is inject the masses with a concoction, and this concoction contains little micro robots, nanobots. That's what it contains. You see what I'm saying? So these little micro robots are going to be used in the very near future to unalive a lot of people, and this is what they showed you in that episode of Black Mirror, that new episode called Plaything. And that's what's going to happen to millions upon millions of people, because they took that concoction. They fell into that snare, they fell into that trap, and Esau, Edom, he's going to use that to take out a lot of people, and that's basically what this article goes into, and that's what that episode of Black Mirror Plaything, that's what it goes into as well, but a lot of people don't know that they're on the receiving end of death for taking that concoction. Like we always said, Esau, he was going to use that for something, and now we know exactly what he's going to use it for. He's going to send out signals that's going to affect all the people that taking that concoction, that took that that shit in their arm, during the whole C19, demic. You know what I'm saying? So, that was basically just the intro. So with that being said, let's just go into this article a little bit, and then we hit that video, for a moment, and then we'll come back and finish the rest of this article out with some scriptures, But it says, Gates Insider presents proof. It says, concocted people emitting Bluetooth signals with secret death dates. You see that? So a lot of people, they took that concoction, there's a date associated with it that's supposed to activate, and once that date or that signal activates that concoction that they took, something is going to happen to them. They might get They might get a severe case of what they call it, turbo cancer, which is a very fast and rapid form of cancer that's very new. And that basically that all the turbo cancer didn't happen until people started taking that concoction. It's a very new thing, but they're calling it turbo cancer now because it's very aggressive, it's very rapid and fast, to the point that you get diagnosed with it, you die soon after. Or once that concoction is activated, you might have heart problems, you might have a heart attack, your heart might stop. Anything can happen. But it says that these signals, associated with that concoction have death dates of when they're supposed to activate and people are supposed to die. Now, what might happen as far as a lot of people dying at one time, me personally, I think they might, spread rumors about some type of new virus that's very aggressive, that's very deadly, when really they're going to be activating those micro robots inside these people's bodies, and causing them to get sick and die off. But they're going to blame it on the actual virus that's going on around the earth. That's what I think, but we'll see what happens. But let's just read through this article real quick. It says, they told us it was about public health, about saving lives, but behind the polished speeches and carefully crafted narratives, something far more sinister was taking shape. It says, for over a decade, Bill Gates and his network of unelected technocrats have poured billions into merging man with machine, not through open innovation, but through covert experimentation on the global population. Because that C19, that concoction that people was taking in their arm, that was global. Not just people over here in Great Babylon, America, but that went out everywhere, and then come to find out that concoction was created by defense advanced whatever, I forgot what DARPA stands for, which is basically it's a research facility that basically creates advanced technology. And come to find out, this concoction, it came from there. So it's a bioweapon. That's what it is. It's an actual weapon. It's a bioweapon. So that's what people were getting put into their bodies, and this is why they contained micro robots inside of it. This is why it contained it, because it's a weapon, which is set to activate at certain times, where off certain signals, it'll activate and it'll do something to the host of whoever received it. But it says, and after 2021, something changed quietly, permanently. It says, now embalmers, coroners, and insiders are sounding the alarm, reporting bizarre, unnatural changes in the bodies of the recently deceased, strange synthetic fibers, magnetic anomalies, and evidence suggested embedded microstructures that shouldn't be there. And those microstructures are those nanobots, nanotech that's inside these people. If you want to look that up and see what that is, like I said, they're micro robots, millions upon millions of them inside of these people, waiting to be activated. But it says, what if the concocted aren't just victims of a rushed medical experiment, but unwilling participants in a live global test, a trap, a snare? These are the people that are going to die. These are the mass numbers of people that are going to die off at some point. And maybe it's because the world is going to be rising up against the New World Order, and that's when they flip the switch and activate it, and then a lot of people around the earth are going to die. We don't know how it's going to play out, but we know that coming up shortly, People are going to die in very, very mass numbers, you know, and they're not going to know why. But we're going to know why. We're going to know that all of these people are connected to one thing, and it's this concoction that they taken globally. You know, this is why they pushed it so hard. This is why that interviewer, that woman, she said that basically Klaus Schwab, he was basically drilling out of the mouth, because he basically said that they have their plans already in place now. One of the major parts of their plans that they already had in place to establish this new world order is getting you people to take that concoction, you know, so they can kill off the majority of the planet, you know, and then all the people that's left, they're going to be ruled over, you know, and this is what they want to happen. Not saying that they're actually going to accomplish this, but we know that they're going to get to a certain point where a lot of people actually do start dying off, you know. But it says what if the human body has already been upgraded without your permission? You see? And it says, it may sound like science fiction until you see what we've uncovered. You see? It says, stay with us. What you're about to hear could change how you see the world and yourself forever. And it says, in recent months, a growing number of independent researchers, tech-savvy citizens, and even curious skeptics have made a startling discovery. And it says, concocted individuals are emitting Bluetooth signals, complete with a unique MAC address. Let that sink in. So these people that took this concoction, they are letting off radio frequencies. They are letting off Bluetooth signals as if they are an antenna. And these are the people that took that concoction. They are letting off signals because they have technology inside of their bodies that they can't even recognize. You know, you got people walking around with micro robots inside of them and don't even know it. And each one of these individuals have a certain unique identification set on them, basically like a barcode. You know how a barcode, when you go into a store, each item has a different barcode, you know, that's for that particular item. You know what I'm saying? Which allows you to tell the difference between this item and that item. Even though the items might be the same, at the same time, they're different because they have two different identifiers. They have two different barcodes, you know, for that one particular individual item. This is the same with these people that took this concoction. They have a certain, if you want to call it, basically like a fucking AI social security number associated to them, you know, if you can think of it that way. Each one of these people that took that, they basically have an artificial intelligence, a artificial AI social security number associated to them, so that if the government or somebody who's ever controlled the elites, if they want to target that specific person that took that concoction, they can send out a signal that just affects them only, you know, to try to put it plainly, if you understand what I'm saying. But each of these individuals, they have a unique number basically associated to them. But it says, let that sink in. We're talking about bodies, living or dead, that are suddenly detectable by Bluetooth scanners. And in some cases, those MAC addresses are reportedly labeled with a single chilling identifier. And it says concocted. So not only do they have a certain number associated with them for taking that concoction, it lets you know that they are one of the ones that has been, you know, concocted, you know. And it says, does that sound far-fetched? And it doesn't sound far-fetched. It actually makes complete sense, because they have an agenda to get rid of a lot of people on this earth while bringing in their new world order. And if you remember anything about when that first came out, when they first came out with their concoction and people was taking it, the area where they received it, they can stick magnets to it, and they can use their phones to basically detect a signal coming from the area where they got that concoction, so it's all falling into place. It's all making sense now, but it says we thought so too until the evidence started stacking up. Videos, testimonies, field tests conducted in remote areas far away from any Wi-Fi or smart devices, and yet Bluetooth scanning apps pick up signals only when certain people are present, people who receive the shot. You see that? And it says, now, if this is true, even partially, we are starting to face one of the most covert, large-scale biometric tagging operations in human history. And here's the part they really don't want you to hear. You can test it for yourself. So people who actually have taken that concoction, they can try these tests on themselves, and it's going to show up they're going to show up as a signal. You see, just to show you how real this is. They can try it for themselves. And it says, so the question becomes, what are these signals for? Tracking, data transfer, remote activation. And it says, and more importantly, were these people chipped without their knowledge? Exactly. So these people have, they are going to be used for some type of very sinister event coming up soon. And it says these aren't just fringe whisperers anymore. Independent investigators, including former telecom engineers and medical examiners, are now reporting that corpses of individuals concocted after 2021 are emitting traceable radio frequency signals. You see that? And it says not in theory, it says not hypothetically, not in theory, in real observable terms. So they're saying this is real. This is not a game. This is not something that's been made up. People who actually got this, they can try it for themselves. They are letting off signals. You see? And it says in controlled lab environments, these signals are being picked up using standard RF detection equipment, the same kind used to test wireless interference and locate hidden surveillance devices. So you actually have equipment that's set up to detect and find hidden cameras. I was watching a video a while back where this woman, she was basically suspecting that her landlord was setting up hidden cameras in her home and basically watching her. You know what I'm saying? So she had this device basically to detect if a hidden camera was in her apartment or her house. So there's certain devices that can detect hidden cameras. And this is the same device they use to detect this technology that's inside these people that took that concoction. You see? So it says the same kind used to test wireless interference and locate hidden surveillance devices. And it says we're talking about measurable emissions coming from human remains, emissions that should not be there. You see? And it says, and this is the part right here. It says, and this brings us right back to the World Economic Forum. When I was talking about Klaus Schwab, it says last year, the People's Voice warned that the WEF, the World Economic Forum, in collaboration with select academic institutions and corporate stakeholders, was laying the groundwork to transform human beings into components of the upcoming 6G infrastructure. And it says their own affiliated researcher at the University of Massachusetts and University of Technology proposed a system in which the human body becomes a living antenna. So these people are living antennas walking around. This is why they're giving off signals, which means what? They can give off signals and what? They can receive signals. And what will happen to these people if they receive certain signals? Something is going to happen to them. You see? And it says a node in a global mesh of electromagnetic radiation. According to their published papers, they've already developed low-cost methods to harvest leak radio frequency energy from visible light communication technology designed to be embedded in next generation smart cities. And yes, the coming 6G networks. Their words, not ours. You see? So with that, man, let me stop right here and let's go into this video that goes right along with this article. And like I said, this is a new episode that Black Mirror basically released called Plaything, which lines up right with this article. So let's go play that real quick.
And they'll use guys like Bill Gates to get the Democrats on board with this tech. They have to convince the conservative Christians that this is not the mark of the beast, that this is safe, that this is an advancement in technology. You don't want to miss the...
Now, this microtech, this concoction that these people took in their bodies, you know, this technology that basically has turned them into a living antenna, that is not the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is basically going to be the end all be all of what Esau is trying to do, his last and most final plan to get the global population to bow down and accept and receive a RFID chip, a microchip under their skin, you know, that they're going to have to use to buy and sell with. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the mark of the beast is, RFID chip. So this concoction that these people have taken is going to be used for something very sinister, but it's not the mark of the beast.
vote. So they've taken Elon Musk out of the shadows, literally, and they've put him in with Donald Trump, and he's now the face of our government. He's really just the most talked about person in America on a day in, day out basis along with Trump. That character said symbiotic coexistence. He's talking about Neuralace, which is exactly what you saw implanted in his head, which is the neural link for humans to achieve symbiosis with machines. And then he goes on to say, X is humanity's collective consciousness, just like that character talked about a collective consciousness, right? So now as we move on through this show, you're going to see him waiting to get a pen so he could draw on a piece of paper. He draws one of those codes that you always see at the, at the restaurants for your menu, or you see it everywhere. Now they put it pretty much on everything, and they want you to scan your phone with this code, right? So he draws this code. Then he turns over to a camera inside of this police station. And he does this for a reason. He does this so that the camera can download this code just like you do with your phone, or not you specifically, but people do with their phone when they're told, hey, you can't bring a ticket in anymore to the concert. You got to use your phone and scan the code, right? It'll download onto your phone. Well, that's what he does in this scene. And then watch how he talks about the emergency broadcast system and how that code that he sent in there is going to create chaos, how it's going to change everything. And watch how once that code goes through the camera lens, everybody's phone starts to download something. And as it downloads it and you wait for it to download, what ends up happening? Well, a signal is sent out, and everybody just falls to the ground, looking like they're under demonic possession. Take a look at this.
So, what is that?
It's code.
I don't understand code.
No, but the system does. Impossible to breach the firewall from outside. This is a simple program they wrote. Commands your state computer to open a back door for the throng, permitting access to all that juicy power, prompting an immediate singularity event. Will instantly adapt their essence into a signal, transmissible to the human mind. You won't need drugs or surgery. You'll merely have to hear it to receive it, to absorb it. Any moment now, we'll trigger the global emergency broadcast system, and the signal will be simultaneously disseminated by every connected device in the world. Here we go.
This is transformative. You'll all emerge with an advanced collective intelligence, benevolent unity of mind, an upgrade for all of us to conflict.
And that's what's going to happen to you people that took that damn concoction, man. You know, they're going to send that signal out and something is going to happen to you, you know. And unlike this episode, you know, the people that dropped on the ground, you know, they basically got back up, you know, but something changed in them. But what's going to happen to you people that took that concoction, you're not going to get back up. You know, it's going to be over for you. You know, you're going to get taken off the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? This is how serious this is. This is why Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is the devil that the Bible speaks of, the wicked of the earth. You know?
So a lot of those things should ring a bell to you. Let's just recap what you saw there, right? He scanned the code, and from there, all of the tech that's in everybody's hand. Remember, because everybody has this in their hand. Everybody has it in their hand or their pocket or their purse, whatever. And it's downloading it now because they're sending the signal to everybody's phone. And then the phone goes static, right? And it makes this weird sound. It's going static, and then boom, everybody hears this frequency. And what happens? They go under possession. Right? It looks like demonic possession. They all pass out on the ground. They give us an aerial shot. And of course, he at the end there reaches his hand out to lift up the character who looks like he's potentially dead, but he's actually mixed with machine because of this code. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind here. Let's go back to the emergency alert. He said he's going to send an emergency broadcast alert that a code is going to, with that code, a sound is going to be sent, a signal, right? Remember those massive emergency alert tests that were going on?
So a heads up, speaking of alert systems, today you're going to get one, and you'll know it too, because it's going to be a loud, blaring alarm coming to your phones, your TV, all your devices here. It's coming out this afternoon, just a test though.
Yes, FEMA will test the emergency alert system around 1:20 Houston time. Chelsea Edwards is...
You know what I'm saying? But that's really it on that. So let's go back to the article real quick. And let's see where I left off at. And it says Bill Bathgate, a certified electrical engineer and environmental consultant, didn't mince words. He called it, quote, one of the worst ideas ever, a plan to use the human body as a telecommunications point in some kind of network grid with sequences that we're not even remotely prepared for biologically, mentally, or spiritually. And it says, and now it looks like this isn't just a theory anymore. And it says evidence is mounting that the plan has already been implemented. Yeah, the plan of these elites are already in motion. You know, in the first phase of their plan was tricking you people into this trap of taking that concoction, and now you're walking around with technology inside of you, you know, with a bio weapon inside of you. You see? So, it says evidence is mounting that the plan has already been implemented quietly, without consent and without public debate, that the concocted have in fact been turned into components of this living grid. A human-powered energy network, a biological web designed to absorb and emit frequencies at will. You see? A biological web designed to absorb and emit frequencies at will, not for your benefit, but for theirs. And what's their benefit? To eliminate a lot of you people on the earth. You know? Because on those Georgia Guidestones, it said that they only want a population globally of 500 million, you know, that they can put into this new world order, this new digital world, and they can rule over the remaining people that survived all of this chaos. You see? While they sit at the pyramid, and the rest of the people that's remaining are the slaves to the ones that are at the top. This is what they want. And like I said, they're not going to reach this level. They're not going to get to that point. But a lot of people are going to die, you know, by them trying to establish this, you know, by them trying to reach that point. A lot of people are going to die while they're trying to reach that point that they're never going to get to. You see? But it says, and the question the world needs to be asking now is why? Why the sudden global obsession with full spectrum wireless infrastructure? Why the relentless push for biometric ID real-time surveillance, and population-wide concoctions tied to invisible tech. You see that? So these people have, it's not really invisible. If you use a microscope, you can see these things inside of these people moving around, these micro robots. But because they're so small, it's like invisible technology inside of these people. You see? So it says, most importantly, why are the corpses now whispering back through the static? And it says, because if we're hearing because of what we're hearing is true, the next phase isn't just about transmission, it's about activation. You see that? Activation. Once they activate these things, man, hey, we don't know exactly what's going to happen to you people, but we know it's not going to be good. You know? So now they got this large scale plan in motion. They have it already set, but the next thing is to activate these things that's inside of these people, and we're going to see what's going to happen to you, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be good. Like I said, me personally, I think that they're going to blame it on some type of new global virus or something like that, when really it's going to be them activating this technology that these people have taken, you know, but we'll see. And some of these words I can't say, you know, because they have flagged this video, and maybe I've said words already that might get it flagged. I don't know, but it says, for context, this is oxide reaction to 5G radio waves. And let's just skip down. Let's start right here. It says, researchers around the world, the ones who haven't been silenced or discredited, have shown how oxide, a known component in some of these so-called concoctions, becomes highly reactive when exposed to electromagnetic fields, especially in the frequency ranges associated with 5G. You know? Let's skip down to this. It says, imagine it forming networks, assembling into structures, responding to signals, not from your brain, but from the grid. Suddenly the Bluetooth emissions, the MAC addresses, the strange biosignals being picked up from the concocted individuals, it all starts to make sense. We're not dealing with a concoction, we're dealing with an upgrade. You know, when really it's not an upgrade, we're dealing with control. You know, it's not an upgrade. They're not doing this because they want you to be a part of some greater good. They're doing this all for control, you know, all to keep you people in line, to eliminate you whenever they feel like it, you know, which gives them complete control over your life. You know, they got a say in whether you live or die, and they don't even have to be close to you. You see that? And it says an involuntary one. And it says, and the final phase might not involve consent. It may not even involve awareness. All it takes is a signal, a frequency, and a push of a button. You see that? So you people that took that, man, y'all in trouble. You know? So let's read this real quick. This is 2 Ezra 5:1. And it says, nevertheless, as come in the tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. You see that? It says, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. So iniquity, sin, will be on a whole new level that has never been throughout the earth. You know, there's never been in the earth. Sin would reach a new level of wickedness. You know, and that's what we're seeing to this day. And it's because the wicked, the basis of all men, is ruling on the earth. The most wicked spirits that the Lord has ever created, they're in rulership. And this is why evil has reached a level that it's never been in the past, because these devils are in rulership with their technology and so on and so forth. But it says, nevertheless, as come in the tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number. and it's not talking about no rapture. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be taken, their spirit's going to be taken to the spirit world. Let's just say that, So let's go into this real quick. This is Psalm 64:5, and it says, let's go to the chapter actually. And let's okay, it says, hide me. This is Psalms 64:2. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. And it says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see us, or who shall see them? You see that? That's what they tell themselves. They do all of these very evil, sinister things behind the curtain where people can't really detect what they're doing, But now they're being exposed for all the things that they're doing. But even then, a lot of people have still fell into this trap, have fell into this snare that they have laid, and they don't even know it. A lot of these people don't know that they have this technology inside of them. They think that they were doing a good thing, because when that whole thing happened, they were pushing as if people who take that are doing a good thing for other people so that they don't catch it, so that they don't catch the whole C19, So people went down there and got that thinking that they were doing a good thing, when really they were being put into a trap. Now they have this technology inside of them that's going to be used for their detriment in the future. You see? So let's go to this one real quick. And this is Ecclesiasticus 14:5. It says, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his good. So Esau, the thing about Esau is the elites of the nation of Esau don't give a damn but about themselves. They don't even care about the lower levels of their own people. You got Edomites that went down there and taken that, and they don't give a damn, because their goal is to eliminate a lot of people off this face of the earth, so that only a certain number can enter into this new world order that they can rule over. But they've even set traps for their own people. Even other Edomites have been basically manipulated into going down there and taking that concoction. So now they're walking around with this same the same technology inside of them that's going to cause them to die very soon, once they start really turning up to get this new world order established. A lot of people are going to die, So you have to be in that mindset of getting ready to prepare for a lot of people to start hitting the ground, because that's what's going to happen very soon. You see? So Esau, he's not even good to himself. You know what I'm saying? So if he's evil to even his own people, who can he be good to? He can't be good. He definitely can't be good. You Negroes, Hispanics and Native Americans are expecting love from these devils when they don't even care about themselves. So how the fuck they gonna care about you? You see? That's how evil and wicked Esau is. And this is 2 Chronicles 36:16, and I might end it off this scripture. But it says, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets, until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy. And this is why you have prophets out here. This is why you have men set up to go out and preach and teach this word, to let you Israelites know of what's to come, because only you can get delivered from this hell and this chaos that's getting ready to happen. It's Israelites, and all you have to do is repent and come back to the truth of this religion, not Christianity. You know, the words that we're speaking, these prophecies and these things that we're letting you know what's going to happen, you know, the name of the Heavenly Father, everything, you know, coming back to learning you an Israelite, all of that, you know, repentance. That's how you can come out of the ways of this world and come back to the Heavenly Father. That's how you can get delivered and saved from all this hell that's about to get ready to come on the earth. You know, but what does this scripture say? It says y'all misused the prophets. You know, you didn't take heed. You didn't listen. You know what I'm saying? You scoffed. And then until the Lord starts to bring this judgment, and then there was no remedy for you. There was no saving you. You know, there was nothing you can do to reverse what the Lord is about to bring on you because you didn't listen to his prophets who he set up to give you this warning. You know what I'm saying? But it says they mocked the messengers of God, you know, and despised his words. You see, until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, you Israelites. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's about to get ready to happen. A lot of you Israelites went down there and took that technology. You know, you went down there and took that concoction, and now you have a fucking death date. You know? So things about to really get sinister, man. You know what I'm saying? And shit like this is really about to get ready to take place. You know? Shit like this is really about to happen. You know, a lot of you people finna hit the ground. The ground is finna be littered with bodies. You know? So I think I made the point. So with that, man, I'm gonna go ahead and give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.